and welcome to HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. Recently, the BJP celebrated what it called the Muslim Women Rights Day. Quite expectedly, the political parties, the opposition, activists, Muslims, and women slammed the initiative. In this edition of HT's weekly talk show, we have with us Member of Parliament Syed Imtiaz Jaleel of the AIMIM, who speaks to us about this, about the vaccine hesitancy, and a host of other issues. By the way, Imtiaz Jaleel calls himself a minor Shahrukh Khan. Welcome to the show, Mr. Imtiaz Jaleel, and thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Kumkum. Thanks, and thank you very much for pronouncing my name correctly. Imtiaz Jaleel. It starts with J. If you start my name with Z, it totally has a different meaning.
You mean it is Jaleel and not Zaleel?
Yes. There's a huge difference.
What is your take on the government celebrating what it called Muslim Women Rights Day?
See, basically, the government should have come out, and especially the Prime Minister should have come out, and he should have explained to us what has changed in the last 2 years. What are you celebrating about? On the ground, what has changed? It's for the government to tell and explain to us if things have really changed. See, throughout we had maintained that the issue is not about forming or framing a law. It's a social issue. And it needs to be dealt at the society level. You can't frame laws for such type of things and then 2 years later you declare that we are celebrating this day. What for? You give us the data if anything has changed at the ground level. And see, definitely at the ground level, we come across so many women who, if they are facing trouble, and if they come to us, then we have to explain to them. And basically what we have been talking to them and telling them is, see, if any man tries to harass a woman in the name of Triple Talaq, then a social stigma, social boycott of that family is what we have been advocating, and we have definitely been pushing for that. It's a social problem and it has to be dealt at the social society level.
You know, you are demanding data from the government. I will come to that. But let me ask you, when you say that you are advocating social boycott of families on the ground, can you or your party give data of how many families you have socially boycotted?
See, basically, even the government, when they came out with this law that prohibits triple talaq, we were asking the government whether do you really have the data of all the caste and communities. Why only specifically say that it's only the problem that's connected with only the Muslim women?
Because triple talaq is there only among Muslims.
The very fact is that Modi government wanted to send across a message that here we have come here to give justice to Muslim women. What we were telling is, why specifically say about Muslim women? If the problem is there, the problem is there in all the caste and communities. On the ground, Kumkum, let me tell you honestly, not much has changed. Let Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi Sahab and Modi Sahab and the BJP government say, hey, we are celebrating this day. Perhaps in the next parliament session, we will ask this question to the government and especially to Mr. Modi. If you really have some data that how things have changed at the ground level, and what is the data that you could give us so that you can celebrate. And perhaps if the data is satisfying, that we could also participate in that celebrations from next year.
As I said, we'll come to the data just now. But let me ask you, you said that the social boycott of families was being done and you were counseling families to come together. Do you, and I repeat, do you have any data of how many families have you socially boycotted?
So it's not that we have any particular data. I think the counseling is working, and it's working across the country.
You know, you questioned that why Muslim women and why not Christians, Hindus, Parsis, and so on and so forth. But the moot point is that this is about instant talaq. Triple talaq is about instant talaq, and I underline the word instant. And perhaps that is why it was for Muslim women and not other communities where divorce, like you said, is there, but instant divorce is not there. I think that is the difference. And perhaps that is why the government chose to help, quote unquote, Muslim women.
But Kumkum, let me ask you an honest question. You have been a journalist for so many years, a senior journalist. Tell me, have you come across any such case during your tenure as a journalist? See, if it's in a population of like 5 lakh, if one case comes, then definitely it is not a major problem. Huh? Like even you have laws for dowry, but then there are cases of dowry. Does that mean that after framing the law, the problem of dowry has vanished? No, it has not. Child marriage, there is a law, but yes, child marriages even now take place, and this take place mostly among the Hindu community, not the Muslim community. But does that mean that problem has vanished because because of the fear of law? No, it has not.
I get a sense that somewhere you feel because it is a society problem, laws should not be there. You mentioned dowry, you mentioned child marriage, and you said that does it mean that they've been prevented? Are you saying then that laws are redundant and they should not be there in the first place?
No, 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 no. Kumkum, I am not advocating that. It's just that you want to punish the man because he has pronounced triple talaq, put him behind bars for 6 months, no bail, nothing. But what happens to the women, the children? How are they going to feed for themselves?
There are
Yeah.
two things. One, every law, hopefully, acts as a deterrent. And in this also, it should act as a deterrent. Secondly, when you say if the man is behind bars, who will look after his wife, who he has abandoned? Even if he is not behind bars and once he's divorced her, he's not going to take care of her. So this argument somehow doesn't work.
At the time of marriage, in Muslim marriage, it's a contract wherein the meher rakam is decided between the husband and the wife's family. And the meher rakam has to be given to the woman. It is a Sharia law that everybody has to follow. So even if he has pronounced a talaq to her, then he'll have to give that meher rakam to her. So, but in this case, what is happening, he is not going to give that meher rakam because he's being put behind bars. He will tell the wife, your family and you have put me behind bars. See, wait, I'll come outside and show you. But anyways, Kumkum, we had deliberated, discussed on this issue. And now that Modi Sahab wants to celebrate, yes, Modi Sahab, please do celebrate.
You've been talking about government data. And let me give you what I have, which is from the government, wherein it claims that there is a 82% decline in cases of triple talaq since the law came out banning it.
Well, Kumkum, had this parliament session functioned, then definitely we would have raised certain questions regarding this data that has been produced by the government. But since the government is there, they have produced data. Perhaps we would like to take some more elaborate data from the government to substantiate what they are saying is correct.
The government is seen as anti-Muslim. Now, when it does something which is to help the Muslim women or to ban a law which is anti-women, it is again criticized. So it's in a situation of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
No, but see, why only think about women who are being divorced? What we want to know from Mr. Narendra Modi and the BJP government is, what have you done to give justice to Zakia Jafri? What have you done to give justice to? I'm sorry, I can't recall the girl from Thane who was killed in Gujarat encounter. There are so many such type of women who are also asking for justice, and still they have not been given justice.
But wouldn't you say this is some kind of a beginning?
Let's see. See if there are good things, then definitely we will welcome that. We will participate in your celebrations also. If we see things are are changing. But we know the reality. Come on, come on. Let's be realistic. If we see things that yes, this law has definitely benefited, then definitely perhaps maybe after 1 year, 2 years, we will also join in the celebrations of Narendra Modi, and we will also thank him. But as of now, I don't think so. That situation has come wherein we will support any type of celebrations that Mr. Narendra Modi and his ministry and his government are celebrating.
Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi said, and I quote, Triple Talaq was given political patronage by merchants of votes. Do you agree with that view?
No, I will not agree. But this has nothing to come. Let me reiterate. Let me tell this with full authority that this was not a problem that was related to any government, whether it is the BJP government or the Congress government or the NCP Shiv Sena government in Maharashtra. This has nothing to do with any type of government. But yes, if there are some social evils that are there in the society, it's for the society to handle them and not the laws. Now there is a very strict law against rape. Does that mean that have we able to stop rape cases in this country? Molestation? There are laws in this country, very strict laws in this country.
So you bring me back to my earlier point that laws are not necessary.
No, I'm not saying that. As far as Triple Talaq is concerned, the way this law was framed was totally wrong.
But Mr. Jaleel, the safeguards at the insistence of the opposition were introduced in this law. And one was that he could get bail. The other was that it became a compoundable offense. So safeguards were at the suggestion of the opposition introduced. So you can't say that in this case, the government bulldozed its way.
But now, since the law has been framed, it has come into effect. There's nothing much we could do. But as far as individually we are I'm concerned. Being a member of parliament from a community that Mr. Narendra Modi and his government says that your community women that we are trying to give justice. Definitely at the ground level, whatever we could do. As somebody representing the community, then definitely we are trying to do our best, irrespective of whether the law was passed or not passed.
So, Mr. Jaleel, as a party, as a community, you've been doing a lot on the ground, as you claim, but you have no data.
Absolutely, I don't have data. The situation is not as bad as it was being projected by the government, that every second woman in this country, every third woman in this country is being subjected to this triple talaq and she needs to be given justice. No, Mr. Modi, we are asking you to give justice to all the women in this country and not just who are facing the problems of triple talaq.
Let's come to another point, which is of vaccine hesitancy among Muslims. How great and how serious is that challenge?
No, absolutely not. Whoever is saying that, it's a blatant lie. People are actually going and lining up for vaccines, but the unfortunate part is just because you don't have vaccines, you're saying, hey, Muslims are not coming forward to take vaccines. Yes, initially there were misconceptions because the illiteracy rate is the highest among the Muslims in the country.
Is it true that during the month of Ramzan or Ramadan, the numbers went down because there was a feeling that taking the jab invalidates the fast?
Yes, to some extent, that was correct. But then I'm very happy the muftis and the maulanas, the religious heads of the Muslim community, they came out and they said that in times like these, if you take a jab, if you take an injection, if you take vaccine, it is not going to affect your roza or the Ramzan month. And based on that only, people came out and they started taking vaccine.
Then there was this other thing about the vaccine being derived from pork and hence banned for Muslims to take. How much truth is there in this?
But I don't think so. There was an iota of doubt among the Muslim community because everybody was taking that, and we as community leaders representing the community also we came out openly and said that we have to take this vaccine. So this is all. There's no substance to what you are telling.
Let me substantiate that there was a fatwa issued in some parts of Asia which said that even if this were true, which is that there is an ingredient of pork which is used in the vaccine, it is permissible to use the vaccine because the pork should have undergone chemical transformation during the manufacturing process and would not retain its original nature for which it was prohibited. So there was a fatwa issued, which means that there was this hesitancy on this count.
Kumkum, the general impression among the non-Muslims is that any person who's putting a beard and he's wearing a kurta pajama and a topi has the right to give a fatwa, to issue a fatwa, which is absolutely wrong. Not anybody and everybody has the right to issue fatwa. So if some dariwala issues a fatwa, that doesn't mean that every Muslim has to follow that.
What are your views on the draft population policy of the Uttar Pradesh government, where the two-child norm is being enforced? Do you think it is targeted specifically at the Muslims?
See, again, this impression that population policy is aimed at targeting the Muslim community. Then what happens to Lalu Prasad Yadav? He has 11 children, I'm told. It doesn't see, basically, during the time of elections, when you have nothing to show to the people that these are the good works that I have done. So rake up some idiotic type of story, and the entire discussion will revolve around that.
There is a distressing situation we find ourselves in. There are apps targeting Muslim women, and doxing has increased manifold. Would you say there is one particular community targeting another, or if I may put it bluntly, Hindu activists targeting Muslim women?
Obviously this is a shameful act, because whoever is doing that, perhaps he's also having a mother, a sister, a daughter, and taking photographs of Muslim women, putting it for auction on social media sites is something that nobody in a civilized society could ever imagine, because whichever group is responsible for that, or individuals, if they are doing that, it's a criminal act.
Would you say it is one particular community targeting another?
I don't know. It is for the government. It is for the government to come out very strongly against such type of acts. Whichever community people are doing is something that needs to be condemned in the most strongest words by all the people, not just the protest or the anger shouldn't be reflected only from the Muslim community, because the Muslim women are being targeted here. We are living in a civilized society. I think every individual should condemn it and ask for stringent punishment against whichever group or individual is involved in that.
We have come to a very painful and tragic situation, and the sum total seems to be hate speeches versus hate crime.
Yes, I agree to a great extent that these type of incidences in this country are growing, and almost every day we are finding some type of an incident which hurts the sentiments of a particular community. We have mob lynching cases growing in this country. Couldn't the government come out and say, "Ki, these are the things which we are not going to tolerate"? If you want to give justice to, you said that by bringing a law of triple talaq in this country, you want to give justice to women. Now, what happens to all the akhlaqs and all those young men who were brutally murdered on the streets of our country? If you can bring a law to protect the women from triple talaq, why not bring a law that stops this mob lynching cases in this country? That bring a law that stops hate speeches, hate crime in this country, but you are not going to bring that law. In fact, your silence is actually encouraging such groups to do more such acts. They know that nothing is going to happen to us.
You know, one view is that hate crimes are a consequence of hate speeches made by many Muslim leaders. What is your take on that?
Kumkum, I totally agree to what you are saying. I can give you examples of hate speeches made by BJP leaders in Delhi,
Yes, there are enough.
which
Yeah, sure.
actually led to Delhi riots and the killing of so many innocent people, whether they were Hindus or Muslims, is immaterial. And here, Mr. Anurag Thakur, during the time of riots in Delhi, he comes out and makes a statement, देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को. Now, this was a statement by a union minister of this country. Who are the देश के गद्दारों? Tell me who are the देश के गद्दारों which Mr. Anurag Thakur was referring to? He will have to explain. Otherwise, his followers, the BJP followers, they have come to know कि अपने बॉस ने बोला है कि देश के गद्दारों को गोली मारो सालों को. Obviously, we are going to kill all the Muslims who come in front of us because they are the real gaddars. And they did exactly that, unfortunately.
Let me tread personal ground, Imtiaz, and let me ask you that you claim not to be communal. But let me take you back a few years when you were in the forefront of protesting that author Taslima Nasreen should go back and ensured that she went back from the airport when she had come to Aurangabad to see the Ajanta and Ellora caves.
I remember that incident. See, Taslima Nasreen is one such character who the Muslim community hates for whatever she writes against Islam and against our Prophet, peace be upon him. I know how angry the people of this city were. Had I not gone to that airport that day, let me tell you, in spite of a huge presence of police, I don't know what the end result would have been had I not taken that decision. Because why would I allow somebody to spoil the atmosphere of my city, wherein the youngsters, the people, the aged people, they were so angry and upset. They said, we will not allow. And they were ready to go to any extent to stop that woman from entering to Aurangabad.
You know, your switch from the media to politics was written about a great deal. And after spending 2 decades, you rubbish the media. And let me quote, you said, I have seen a lot of dirt in the media. I used to meet people who told me that even media persons are sold. Let me ask you that the dirt which you say you saw in the media after being there for 2 decades, is politics any better?
You also know the facts. The journalism that we all saw 20 years back and the journalism that we are seeing today, there is a drastic shift. And unfortunately, it's not the journalism that we all opted for. There have been newspapers who have been selling spaces, and there have been television channels who have been selling television space for anyone who could offer money to them. And that's a reality which you will accept, I will accept.
Hindustan Times excluded, journalists of Hindustan Times excluded.
Kumkum, let me tell you, I made it very clear before you could say that. I have said that we have some of the finest journalists in this country even today. But there is a section, some rotten apples in the profession who have lent a bad name to the profession.
Finally, during your election campaign, you called yourself a minor Shahrukh Khan. A few years down the line, where do you see yourself and who would you compare yourself to?
Kumkum, that minor Shahrukh Khan at the time of election has now become a major Shahrukh Khan now, and his aura, his presence is not limited only till Aurangabad now. And by the way, when I shifted to my new house in Aurangabad, I have named it as Mannat. And this is also Kumkum to थोड़ा सा वो लोग who criticize me or who envy me, जो मुझे ऐसा इस नजरिए से देखते हैं, तो मैं मेरे घर का नाम मन्नत इसलिए रखा हूँ, तो उनको थोड़ा सा जलाने में, उनको थोड़ा सा सताने में मजा आता है। तो लोग पूछते हैं भाई मन्नत, तो मैं कहता हूँ यार औरंगाबाद के शाहरुख खान तो हम ही है करके।
Imtiaz Jaleel, thank you very much. Thank you for your time and thank you for answering all the questions.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.